Hey everyone, it's Liz the Frugal Libertarian. I had to jump on and do a video now and wasn't really planning to, like, at all. But a couple of things happened. I'm going to go over the one which I think is just kind of silly, which is the media is going absolutely nuts about the US might go to war with North Korea. And I just find that hilarious because, A, the only political ally North Korea has is China, who now we're selling coal to, so they don't need North Korea's coal anymore. So they're now saying if North Korea declares war, or, well, if North Korea attacks South Korea and the US has to defend South Korea, that China will now back us up. And the whole thing is just kind of a joke, because if North Korea goes to war with anyone by themselves, they're screwed. I mean, what do they have in terms of a military? What do they have in terms of defense? It can't even feed its own citizenry. Like, yeah, I understand the citizens are all brainwashed to think that the glorious leader is a god who rides unicorns, but you know what? They're starving. So once their military is wiped out, which, believe me, their military would be wiped out pretty quickly, once that's gone, what, the citizens are going to stand up and take arms to protect the glorious leader? Now with that lack of nutritional growth of muscle, you know, these are people who don't have any form of warmth in the winter, who are starving to death, who have no clothing, and you think they're gonna, what, pick up a stick? Like, it's not even funny. Like, they're not a threat to us, they're a joke. So anyway, that was topic technically 2. So the other thing that's really got me, like, going is the whole, what they're calling the Battle of Berkeley that happened on Saturday, where basically it was a free speech rally with conservative speakers that are supposed to speak to a crowd, and a bunch of people calling themselves AntiFa or anti-fascist, which is a joke, show up with actual, like, weapons and with the, like, I don't care if I kill people attitude, because I don't like what they're saying, I don't like what they stand for, that kind of thing. I hope that the police activity during this is eventually investigated, because the police were told to stand down, and the problem with that is that coming into the rally, they made people disarm. Like, they confiscated things they thought could be used as a weapon, even like the strangest possibility that it could be used as a weapon. Like, people were bringing in cases of Pepsi after that stupid Kylie Jenner commercial. People were like bringing cases of Pepsi because if it gets bad, I'll just give them a Pepsi and they'll stop, kind of a joke. And they were like confiscating the cases of Pepsi because, well, what could be in it? It could be dangerous, blah, blah, blah. So as Lauren Southern said in interviews and her video right after what happened, her and the people that were there to protect her, to work almost as security for her, which was a fraternity, essentially, of men called the Proud Boys, which now the leftist media are labeling them white supremacists, and I'm not understanding the connection. So if somebody knows why they're saying that, tell me, because I've been trying to find it online and I haven't. They were told when they got there by the police to disarm, and the police said, oh, don't worry, we've got you. And then when the violence started, when the Antifa got to the park and started attacking people, the police had disappeared. And other people have made videos where they went and saw that the police were sitting in cars, sitting in vans, sitting in trucks, and went over to them and said, why aren't you out there stopping this? And they said, ask the chief, kind of thing. Like, they were ordered to stand down. I hope that is investigated. Somehow I don't think it will be, because it's California, and whoever ordered the stand down was somebody politically connected, clearly. If they had the power to order the town police to stand down and to leave the site of an actual riot turning, I don't even know what to call it. They're calling it a battle, and honestly, watching videos of people living through it, that's what it seems like, because you hear explosions here, things thrown here, like, it's just awful. But the thing that's really getting me going is that, now, I have not watched any of the media reports, any of the mainstream media talking about what happened. I have only watched interviews of people who were there after the fact and the videos of people as it's happening. So not even like people narrating. I'm talking just videos of people just videoing what's happening around them. So I guess I have a different viewpoint on what happened, because I have not been listening to people talking in my ear about it. I've been, realistically, I didn't even, until maybe an hour ago, I didn't even start watching videos of interviews with like Lauren Southern and other people who were there. I was just watching the raw footage of people took while it was happening. The problem is, which I'm going to include a screenshot of this so you can see what I'm talking about. A friend of mine, and I'm like really torn about whether or not I should even say that because I don't want to ruin a friendship with her if she sees this, but I'm sorry. The fact that she took this stance makes me not okay. So I think I'm going to say this. A friend of mine puts up an article from Esquire.com, which I didn't realize Esquire was still a magazine, so yippee for them. Basically saying what the media is telling you, that this was pro-Trump versus anti-Trump, is wrong. It was anti-fascism versus Nazis. And that's what really happened. And the Antifa people were there to stop Nazi recruitment. It's the tone of what they're saying is like, Antifa, ignore what Antifa was doing. Ignore everything, because, you know, they didn't show up wanting violence. They were just prepared in case violence was thrust upon them. And like that, and I just wrote to her and said, are you friggin' kidding me? Are you kidding me? They didn't show up expecting violence to happen, but it was thrust upon them? Excuse me, no. Everybody in that park was unarmed. You do not show up with M80s, M80 firecrackers, which have a stick of dynamite in them. You do not show up with tear gas. You do not show up with smoke bombs. You do not show up with other weapons unless you have the intent of injuring people. You also do not start throwing said bombs and dynamite into crowded groups of people if you don't intend to hurt those people or attempting to kill them. You don't try to push a dumpster on top of people unless you intend to harm them. I'm not talking push into them. I'm talking on top, because that was what they tried to do to a couple of guys who, thank God, were strong enough to push it back so that they didn't tip it on top of them. They were strong enough to fight back to put it back on its wheels. That was horrible. So my friend comes back with, I'm just talking about the media representation of what's going on, and I don't think it's right the way the media is representing this. And I'm like, excuse me. No. A group of people show up at a public event which is supposed to promote free speech, and the correct assumption that offensive speech is protected speech. And another group shows up to specifically injure those people, to physically attack those people, with that intention, with the idea that that's what's going to happen. And you think the title Trump versus non-Trump isn't fair, that it should be anti-fascist, even though state-sponsored violence to stop the free speech of other people speaking against ideas that they don't like is fascism. It is. You can't call them anti-fascist. And that's what I was saying to her, is you can't call them anti-fascist. Because they are not even just, they were prepared. They showed up with the intent to commit physical violence against people to stop them from speaking. No, that's not okay. And so some idiot, of course, says to me, if you saw a Nazi on the street, wouldn't you punch them in the face? And I wrote back, no, I wouldn't. Because, A, how do I know they're a Nazi? A. And B, I don't support physical violence against somebody I disagree with. Now, anybody who I've talked to through emails and such knows that I am not a Christian. I actually am B'nai Noah, which is a form of Judaism for Gentiles who are not going to or have not yet made a full conversion to Judaism. So you can understand why the idea of Nazism would really be offensive to me. But guess what? And I said this, and this is exactly how I explained it. I said, excuse me, there is no excuse to commit physical violence against somebody else just because they disagree with you. And they're going, well, they're not even human, so it's okay to hurt them. And I said again, how do you know they're a Nazi? How? They're wearing a Halloween costume that's an SS uniform. Halloween costumes can't just be ironic or a very bad attempt at humor. They have to be literal embodiments of what you believe. I don't think so. Well, there is no excuse. I would punch them anyway. I said, okay, well, I've got a scenario for you. This is one of the things I learned about Judaism, which I love about Judaism, is that there is nothing completely unforgivable. Every sin is forgivable. Every person is redeemable. There's no such thing as a sin so great you can't be redeemed from it. That's something that I took into my heart and that I think is beautiful and wonderful. And I'm sorry if I'm going into a little bit too much religion here, but in that vein, I said, okay, how about the kid who was a skinhead as a teen and was in a skinhead gang and got a swastika tattooed on their neck and committed acts of violence against Jews, went to prison, had an epiphany, saw the wrong in what they were doing, and was working the rest of their lives in a community organization to try to make amends for what they did and to try to bring the Jewish community and non-Jewish community together in love and in brotherhood. You would punch them in the face just because you saw a swastika. You would enact physical violence against that person because of their physical appearance. Their physical appearance offends you, so you can respond with physical violence. And then she starts with, name me one person who's like that. Well, name me one person you personally know or have seen on the street wearing a Nazi uniform Halloween costume. Because I've been to a lot of Halloween parties and I've never seen anybody do that. I've also never seen anybody actually do it as a, I love Hitler thing. So to me, it's just kind of ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument. And I pointed out, I said, excuse me, here's the difference between you and me. I see somebody dressed in a costume of a Nazi. Maybe even dressed as Hitler, and not on ice. I would look at them and go, oh my God, that's disgusting, they're an idiot. And I would keep walking and keep going about my day. I might get upset about it. I might be like, I can't believe that person was that stupid. But I would never, ever, ever go over to them and start physical violence against them. I said, and that's the difference between you and me, because you would look at the person, again, visually assess that you think they're a Nazi, and go out of your way to physically attack them. That's the difference between you and me. I don't think there is an excuse for physical violence. The only time violence to me is acceptable is when you are personally already being attacked. When somebody is attacking you. I saw the video of the man, I believe he was from the Proud Boys group, punching the AntiFa woman in the face. Now, they had a little GIF or a little tiny video of it on the Esquire article. And that was the only angle I had ever seen. And to me, it looked like she was about to punch the guy next to him in the back of the head, and he punched her instead. Which, again, would be a defensive punch. Anyway, he's defending another person's life against physical violence from a third-party person. However, since I have now seen two different angles of it, one from behind her and one from slightly more to the side of her. And what you can't see in that original video, the one that Esquire, of course, used as their clip, because why would they bother to look at other angles? They know what happened, right? She punched that guy in the neck At the same time, he's reaching out to punch her. She was not trying to punch the guy next to him, she was punching him. Which means he was defending himself against her attack on him. And then, of course, they're pulling out the whole, there's no excuse to ever hit a woman. Well, A, these are the same people who are all pleased about the draft being extended to women because this means women have true equality in America. Now, this is a woman who, it's been now found out that she went on Twitter and talked about she wanted to collect the scalps of these conservatives at the rally. So she was showing up with the intention of violence, the intention to hurt other people. From what it sounds like, this one punch knocked her pretty much out of the game, which means her violence against other people was prevented by it. And again, it wasn't like she was minding her own business and he walked over and sucker punched her. She was throwing a punch at him and he happened to be faster than her. Pretty much from what I saw slowed down, it looked like they hit each other at the exact same second. But either way, maybe he has faster reflexes and he noticed that she was throwing the punch at him and he had faster reflexes. I don't know. That is nature giving him an upper hand. Big deal. But the idea that it's okay for her to sit there and punch him in the throat, but it's not okay for him to defend himself against her, to me, is truly inequality for women. You're talking about two standards of behavior. If I'm going to walk up to you on the street and punch you in the head, it's okay, because I'm a woman and you can never hit a woman. No, if I'm going up to you and I'm committing physical violence against you, you are justified in stopping me. You know what, maybe I just view people as more equal than the AntiFa people are. They're calling him a male chauvinist, that clearly he hates women because he had no problem hitting a woman. A woman who punched him in the throat. Do you know what that can do to you? Oh, but she's a woman. He wasn't in any real threat. The only reason it ended like it did, and as quickly as it did, was because they released a smoke bomb, not realizing that the wind was coming at them and pushing the smoke at them. Lauren Southern, in the interview or the recording she made when she first got to her hotel room, has makeup all down her face because tear gas was used against her and went into her goggles. The only reason Lauren Southern got back to her hotel room okay was because she had a group of men, the Proud Boys, that were protecting her. And why did she deserve that? She actually had an M80 thrown at her face and hit her, I believe it was her helmet, and bounced to the side next to her and blew up. So it wasn't okay for the guy to punch the woman that was punching him in the throat. But it was okay for them to throw a stick of dynamite at a woman's face. I am so sick and tired of this. I am sick and tired of the escalating violence. I am sick and tired of the hypocrisy. The fact that they believe words hurt and fists are a good response to an offensive word because words hurt like fists. No, they don't. Offensive speech is protected speech. I do not care if that person is wearing a Hitler costume, standing in front of the microphone while saying, I don't like the Jews. That's his opinion. He has every right to stand up there and say that, just like I have every right to stand up there and say, I hate all of you Nazi. I'm not going to use the language I started to use. I have the same rights that they have. And if they don't have their rights, then I don't have mine. I can't stand up on that microphone and say, I hate all of you. You're disgusting to me. I have no rights because they have no rights. Everyone has equal freaking rights. And everybody's rights are protected no matter how offensive they may be. The idea that only unoffensive speech is protected is so ludicrous. Why does inoffensive speech need protecting? It is protected, that is true, because all speech is protected. Why would it only be inoffensive speech that's protected? It's only the happy kitten pictures that are protected. No. And it doesn't matter if I think it's offensive or they think it's offensive. Or the guy down the street from me thinks it's offensive. It's still protected. It does not matter. The only time it is not protected is when that speech is going to directly result in the personal injury or death of another person. So if the guy with the Hitler costume stands in front of a microphone and says, hey, there's a Jew over there, grab him and lynch him, yeah, you're right, that's not protected speech. Because he's inciting a crowd to attack a person and hurt them. But for him to just sit there and say, you know why I don't like the Jews? Why don't you? I would love to know the reasons. Because then I can develop my counter reasons for why you're an a-hole. I would much rather know my enemy and what they're thinking than be sitting there going, that's too offensive, shut him up. Because eventually somebody's going to look at me and go, that's offensive, shut her up. It's just so unbelievable. And like I said, they don't see the hypocrisy. They don't. They're sitting there going, it's okay. No, it's justified because, you know, it was offensive. I'm sorry if I got a little more heated than I intended to. Leave me in the comments what you think about this. If you disagree with me, I'd like to know why, because only when we discuss things can minds be changed and again, I can't learn how to react to you if you never talk to me. I'm not going to just judge you based on your physical appearance, because I don't do that. And I'm also willing to give humans the benefit of the doubt that there is something else going on. I'm not willing to sit there and just go, I don't like the way you look. Because I don't do that. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. I apologize as this was a little more politically charged than I have been doing. And hopefully this doesn't get escalated worse. But I do hope somebody investigates what the police did. Because at least there would be a silver lining if that was actually investigated and dealt with. I am Liz, the Frugal Libertarian, standing up with the NAP and not accepting any violence from anybody. Take care, have an awesome day.